Got it.
Boom. And Jacen Havik. All right. So the floor is yours, sir. Whatever creative idea or spark that you got.
Okay. Well, the concept I was trying to work on is trying to make like things that are in the darkness kind of like look more appealing, not for like a manipulation, but just to, like be able to step out into the dark. Like, I draw kind of inspirations a little bit from XXXTentacion video with like the moonlight. Plus I grew up kind of goth too, you know what I mean? Like I'm hood in the goth, so that automatically it's like a dark in like, you know what I mean, a lot of situations. So
Yeah.
that I just want to be able to like express that like more like profoundly. And on top of that, like we've always kind of been like infatuated with like cosmos and stars and things like that. So I want to be able to talk to people about that kind of stuff because it's like Captain Marvel, right? When I saw the new Captain Marvel, I was completely inspired by it because when I saw some of the characters, even the most villainous people, like that one dude who's sitting there drinking, he was scared of flirting. I was like, they just wanted a home. I love that character so much because of that.
Yeah.
And I always relate to like darker characters that come out of nowhere to help. You know what I mean? Like your Alucards or your one of my favorites, Crocodile from One Piece. You know what I mean? Like he just come out of nowhere and he still helps Whitebeard out, you know? Developments and also because I wanted to season it around everything. Like not just music, not just graphic design, videos. I wanted to make it sure it's educational, like properly. You know, I got like nieces and nephews and godchildren. I try to be mindful that it can accumulate and they don't have to feel like, okay, just because you're in the dark, it's bad. You know, sometimes I get my best meditations. And I need better. I need to become better at like expressing it because it's so hard for me to explain like darkness to people, like chaos and stuff like that. It's just like me and my mom are chaotic. So yeah, me and her have the same birthday, and like a lot of, you know, yeah, it's cool, right? So a lot of things I've learned from her is just like you run. I kind of run from the best example. I love Aku, right? And I've always looked at Aku differently. Now I understand Aku came from like, you know, space, and then he came down, he took over everything. But I looked at it differently, like a new world type thing. Because at the same time, all those gods were chasing his mama to an extent. Like Ra, Odin, and I forgot the other one when you saw like that big thing of chaos in the sky when you first see it, and you see that one little speck come down to Earth. That's how I looked at it. I was like, all these people are chasing his mom. And then his mom was like, okay, go. You know what I mean? And it might not be the actual situation, but that's how I looked at art, like interpreted, like, you know what I mean? So like, I relate to him a lot because after a while, and the funniest thing I've learned, he started developing from being more Asiatic, he became Mexican. I was like, that's kind of like our culture. Like we became more like more Mexican, like, you know, so. And you let everybody chill, basically. Like even the gods could come down, and like you saw one episode, Raw came down. So I was like, I just want to make a kind of world like that to an extent, but like elusive, but at the same time, not doing too much with it, you know?
I hear you, man. I hear you. So I'm taking notes, just letting you know that, you know, just sitting here, hearing, writing notes, what I'm hearing.
Yeah, let me grab a notepad. Let me grab it.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
was there anything else in describing? Because the next part, I'ma just reiterate what it is that you told me, what you just shared just now. So was there anything else to go with that?
More or less understanding. I want to get to developmental where it's like, or just understanding the character. Like, I don't want it to be just like I've gone through understanding trauma and pains and stuff, and I know a lot of things are hard to attack. So what I want to be able to do is just tell people it's okay not to focus on that all the time. It's okay to legitimately like I want to actually be able to display that because I'm starting to get to a point. I got my green screens and my little like tripods and stuff like that. So I want to be able to transmute that into like its own like show, like a little variety show, you know. Work that out.
That's wild.
And it's so much more. So we're gonna work on this
Yeah,
story.
no, for sure, right? It's a
Hey,
lot, right? But it's
yeah,
getting to that starting point. So what I heard from the very top is just things that are in the darkness. Inspiration from XXX Tentacion, Moon
yeah,
Video. You grew up goth, that hood and goth. That's not the first time I've heard that. I actually,
yeah,
yeah, I met someone last year that kind of gave that description. Not to say like it's like not unique. It is unique, but it's
yeah,
like I'm starting to see that that's a thing. Um,
yeah,
express more profoundly. You want
yeah,
to do that. The fascination with the cosmos and the stars. You want to be able to talk about that.
yeah,
Inspiration from Captain Marvel. These ideas of darker characters, a
yeah,
story. This is just in my own words. You us developing a story that can cross all platforms, like go into music and shows,
yeah.
something that's kid friendly. And then you said something along the lines of like, just because it's dark doesn't mean it's bad.
Mhm.
Developing a better way to express that. And
Yeah,
this was huge for me, just in what it is that I'm interested in mapping out and making a little more clear is that idea of trauma and pain. And it's hard to attack that. But I like what
mhm.
you said. It's okay not to focus on that all the
Yeah,
time because that's not, you might like, especially when you start to get into like new age spirituality, people will just be like, oh, I'm healing. It's like, when you gonna stop healing? Like,
yes,
so that's just
yeah,
me. Like now that I'm understanding, like, damn, like people really, I mean, like I do understand like you never fully heal, but like when is it time to get back outside again and you rested and you put your leg up in the air all day?
Ooh,
So when is it a time to take on so that idea, but using not like art, obviously, like something like art therapy, but kind of using stories and narratives in order to do that. So
yeah,
all right, I got a good idea of this concept that you're working with. So the next step is going to be me just kind of offering and explaining this new way of developing your own story and your own character, but then
okay,
also the intention of understanding trauma, of explaining and educating kids especially, and everybody as well. So this idea and this concept that I'm creating, and it's called mythologizing. So within mythologizing, you can look, I'm inspired by myths of all different cultures. And
mhm.
so in understanding the oral tradition and understanding and learning about it through Dolo the Pilot Man, I
Yeah,
was able to like from that source, understanding that the idea of literary mysticism and this idea of a cult
yeah,
is is that these stories are kind of allegories to other things. So
yeah,
in every culture you're gonna find, like the huge gods and goddesses, but from what we understand in breaking down literary mysticism is understanding that these gods are just allegories for higher thoughts or different thoughts or something that is superior to someone else mentally and
okay, yeah,
spiritually. So
yeah,
these big cultures, like ancient Greece, Chinese cultures, you have, this is their year of the rabbit. They have their mythology. In America, we have mythology in America. George Washington is like this figure. July 4th is like this concept that we've all decided to agree upon, but it's a part of a mythology because that's not the end all be all. So I say that all to say that these great civilizations and societies have created myths to uphold their belief system, but we as individuals have the ability to do that for ourselves. So this is what mythologizing then becomes. What
yeah,
were those traumatic moments in your life? Oh, it doesn't always have to be traumatic. I'm just like leaning towards trauma because I want to deal and confront my own trauma in my life by using plays and stories. But it doesn't always have to start like that. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to get
yeah,
it twisted. Let's I'll give you an example on like a lighter note. Like this is a question, you don't have to answer this right now, but
okay,
when was a time that you became self-aware? And by that I mean, because that could be loaded. By self-aware I mean, when was there a time that you didn't have to rely on your mom's way of thinking, your grandma's way of thinking, your cousin's way of thinking? When was there a time that you separated yourself from who you were around and you had to go through an experience and you had to make up your mind about what you went through? So this can be a starting point for your myth. because
Yeah.
once you become aware of something, you're going to start acting like that. You know, like for me, like there was a time when I stopped going by the name that was given to me and I just started going by Jam. Like, you know, like these ideas, like, okay, but then what inspired me to be Jam? What inspired me? What inspired you to be Jacen Havik? So it can either be something like a figment of your imagination or based in reality. So mythologizing takes that moment when you became self-aware, when you separated yourself from others' way of doing things, you decided, hey, this is gonna be me and this is how I'm gonna walk through life. So these live as memories in our head. That moment that you became self-aware. I'll just use this for an example. The moment I became self-aware was when I fell off of my bike and there was no one around who cared enough, aka they didn't move quick enough to help me heal myself, so I had to get up and walk to the Rite Aid or to the drugstore and get something myself. All right, that's a memory. And
Yeah.
in that memory, right, I remember like hating my mom because she was too busy at work and she couldn't help me out. I remember hating my older brother because he was on his way back home, but no one was able to help me out in time. I needed an ice pack, I needed Neosporin, I need all of that. Taking that moment, right? You know, and very childish, you know what I'm saying? Like very childish, very messed up. But taking that moment and creating that was a time that I had to realize I have to do shit for myself. If
Yeah.
I fall off my damn bike, I gotta go get my own ice pack, my own Neosporin.
Yeah.
So you can either become, so let's look at other myths in the world. So like let's say like this is a myth that I want to create that lets other people know sometimes you have to do shit by yourself, even if you are injured, even if you are the victim. So that's just the story right there, right? And then what I just said was kind of like the nugget that you get at the end of a story. So I
Yeah.
want you to think about that as well. In creating your myth, and understanding the starting point of who you are and what it is that you want to express, what is that little nugget that you want people to take away after experiencing your art, whether that be a show, a skit, a song? What do you want them to take away with it? Now, it don't got to be literal. You don't got to say literally at the end, and that's why you're not supposed to drink milk on the third Tuesday of every month. You know, like things like that. Like
Yeah.
that's very, you know, like you don't have to say it like that, but you're gonna find maybe in some indigenous, like Native American cultures, they literally have stories that end like that. Like
Yeah.
that's why you don't hunt the third fox that you see at midnight. Like things like
Yeah.
that. But these are what kind of create morals, and then these kind of become virtues in a way of how you're creating your entire myth. Like what goes on in this world. And you said this earlier in describing it, you want to create this whole world. So let me know
Yeah.
if I'm going too fast, if there's any questions, because now I'm starting to spark ideas. And
Yeah. I'm starting to get in that. Yeah.
yeah, so that like attacking what it is that you in the beginning, just going off of your words, you know, in the beginning you were saying that this was something that you don't have an idea yet about how to express or how to convey. When you start to make more clear the reason why you want to do that in the first place, then
Yeah.
you can start to have fun in that. Then you can create your own character in that. And you're not always the hero. You might be
Yeah.
the sometimes if you want to convey it in that way.
Yeah.
So start to think of these feelings that you have towards it, these thoughts, just like how Dolo the Pilot Man breaks it down in the literary mysticism, the Jewish mysticism, like
Yeah.
these thoughts that you have and these feelings into male characters, into female characters. They don't have to be real, but turn those into characters, and then you're going to start to create your own world. So say for example, like you still at the end, let's say at the end of this meeting, you still don't have a way of like, you still don't feel clear about expressing this idea. That's your feeling. You're like, man, I'm a little self-conscious. Personify that, turn that into a woman character. It could, or a male, it doesn't really matter, but turn that
Yeah.
into a character, and then that character represents doubt. So let's say whenever in your story and you're interacting with this character, this person always has something doubtful to say. But
Okay.
that's not literally what it means. You know, that can just be an example of what doubt is. So
Okay.
this is the oral tradition, but how we can really make some powerful art from that, because we took the time beforehand to give everything an intention, to give everything like a meaning. So say you have like a thought after this, like after this meeting, and you're about to create, you about to go hard, and you know you're about to be the greatest in that. All right, personify that as a male character in your story. It can either be you, your friend, your enemy. we can start to think of like how stories are actually made, you know, like in the world. But this is just the behind the scenes before we get to characters and all that and cast. So that can be, you know, like your nemesis. That can be, or that can be what you strive for. So say you have a song where like you're talking about like self-reflection, like it can be a whole song of you just like looking in the mirror and you talking to yourself. These thoughts and these random feelings that you have, whether it's self-doubt, you build yourself up. I mean, I do that. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for you, but I do this.
No,
We're like,
no, it's
look at
excellent.
myself, I might say like an affirmation, but then some bullshit come in my head. I'm like, man, no, fuck that. Like I'm trying to be my best version of myself today. But you know, yesterday I was a little fucked up. But hey, so this can become fun. This can become artistic and creative about, but the main point of that song is how you build yourself up. You're just building yourself up. You don't have to be the best version of yourself in the song. And this can become relatable because it's like we messed up. That's just, you know, I feel like that's more relatable. I mean, it is good to be inspired to be your best version of yourself, but how do you deal with your shadow? How do you deal with those feelings of doubt? How do you deal with trauma and pain? And this can become how we can start to relate to each other. Like, dang, like they grew up in that same situation that I grew up in. And look at them. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I can do that. All right. So this idea of if you want to inspire, it doesn't always have to be inspirational, but this can be, you know, something that you can get out of it too. So that's my main point that I can give from what I'm hearing. It sounds like where you are is developing a world. And you can either be the god of that world, you can be the demigod of that world, you as Jacen,
Yeah.
you can have something to do with it or nothing to do with it at all. And the point, the point is to create a myth, like a creation story, like an origin story. You can look at the Bible as an example. You can
Yeah.
look the apocrypha books and Gnostic Christianity. You can look at those as examples, but mostly the Bible is the hardest because it'll
Yeah.
So you know I'm inspired by the Bible, but
Yeah.
what you want to do is create this story that can live on forever. And so the difference between story and a plot, look at story as the world before you even make a song out of it or a poem out of it or a play out of it or a movie. This story just exists forever. But the plot is what happens when you decide to express it. So this is how it can be interesting. So what we're doing right now is hopefully I can point you to developing the story so that
Yeah.
when you do start to create a poem off of your myth or your origin story, now you can have fun with how you're going to convey it. And that's what plot is. Plot is like the action. But
Yeah.
if we have a story, if you're creating a story that you don't just want to put in your, you want to paint about it. You don't want to just sing about it or rap about it. You also want to build something about it. So have a hard ass story, have a hard ass mythology, and then everything that you create off of that can go to that story, aka that can be the plot. So for example, say I got this hard ass story about me falling off my bike. Okay, now I know me, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna create a 10-minute theater piece about it.
Yeah.
10-minute theater piece about it. I can be as funny as I want. I can be as kooky and crazy as I want. I can have some actors to represent my mom, my older brother. I can actually have some Neosporin on stage and stuff. But then at the end of that play, I'm selling bikes. This is just an example. I'm gonna sell a bike at the end of the play. People gonna look at that bike, be like, "Oh, that's the bike that you fell off of." Like, yep, I'm selling a bike. Like, this is that idea of how we can take these stories and then turn it into other things. That was just like a capitalism merchandise type of
Yeah, I
example.
like that.
Yeah, but the idea is that the story that you create, you can create product endlessly from it. Like just like how you see in with America, like America's the best example. Every year you're gonna see what they sell, fireworks. But guess what? They created that mythology back in July 4th, 1777. They still making money off of that. You still gonna see American flags being sold everywhere. So that's still that same idea, how we can take a story and then we can always create from it.
Yeah.
Always create from it. So yeah.
That's strong. I love that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Jonathan Down.
Yeah, no, this is exciting because like honestly, like this is what we're doing, especially as artists. We are sharing, like before it was like, all right, I'm just trying to get signed or I'm trying to meet this person and meet this person. But it's like we're the position that we're in, like we get to create our own story so that when we do come together at this networking event or at this like open mic showcase, this open concert, we all got something unique to share. And we can all like sit and get lost in each other's worlds and like, oh, that's what Jacen Havik represents. Oh, that's what Jam Boom Boom represents. Like these type of things.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a little, you know, philosophical, so don't mind me, but I'm gonna
Oh,
draw
I
back.
I get that Sagittarian energy, that ninth house energy strong. I love it.
I got Sag in my first house, and I got the North Node there. So this whole
You
like,
said Sage Rising.
yeah, it's like
Damn, yeah, we
it's
really are a
cusp.
soul group. What?
Yeah, nah, it's
I'm one
cusp because it's
too.
like, yeah, yes sir, yes sir. But and all my planets are like in the fall, in the winter. But yeah, like I said, I'm a fall back real quick. I said a lot. So let me know what it is that you're receiving, if you have some questions or any feedback just about that.
Oh, so that was excellent because that's the energy. Like that's why I always, no matter what, I always sync up with y'all just because of that. It's always, I've been saying this for years. I was like, if I had a soul group, it's y'all, because and then just finding out you are one. I'm just like, I was trying to find my birth date for years. So because I understood the first house had to do with your body too. So I didn't understand my diet. So that changed tremendous. A big question. Is it okay to smoke or is it bad for camera?
Oh no, that's fine, because that's cool. You know what? I can just cut it right now. We can just chop it up for a little bit. But I just wanted to dedicate this time. And yeah, I can just turn the recording off and that's cool. And plus, I'm gonna just like edit it when I do present it. You know, like I can edit it and all that.
I just didn't want, because I'll be, because you know what I'm saying? One thing I try to, and I hate saying it when I be talking about like darkness, it's just the fact that I grew up in like communities where I smoke and it's not that big a deal.
No, it's not that big of a deal here. Yeah, no, but I did want to like, we can chop it up a little bit, but I did want to just, if you did have any feedback, I can just cut it right.
Oh yeah, no, we good now. I was curious because that's a part of darkness too. Like if I ever made like a epic anime or something like that, that was just like on that type of level, I would have probably a character that would do that too. Like Afro Samurai is one of my favorite things in the world. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yes. But yeah, feedback wise, like basically you knocked it out of the park, because just basically it is just setting up its own world, and I want y'all to be able to like go like just show up there. One of my favorite space operas is Mass Effect. You know what I mean? And just because of they base it off of Star Trek dialogue conversation. I'm a Libra moon, so if I don't have one-on-one conversation and it's just like, you know what I mean, or like how like this, I don't feel alive. You know what I mean? I need that. You know what I'm saying? So it just with that, it's even hard to explain that, because Libra moon gets so weird to me. Some people say I'm too Luciferian, and then they'd be like, "Oh, so you're a Satanist?" And I'll be like, "Well, Luciferian technically means I explain it simply. I look at darkness, I see light in it somehow. I think of Venus. It storms all the time.
Yeah, that Venus. I got the Taurus moon. I hear you. It's the Venus. Yeah, it's the Venus. Like, damn, what you talking about? But yours be in the communicating. I be like on demon time. Like, all right, where your money at? Like, put your money where your mouth is. Like, where's the earth energy? I don't believe you. You don't got no schedule. You don't got no building towards stability. I'm out. Yes. I turn into Satan. I'm like, you know what? Devil.
And then see, and that automatically made me calm down, because that's how I was explaining to people around here too. I was like if you want to get a part of like spirit, just don't be like I can't tell you how to be. I can't really personally
expect to get nothing out of it. That's the thing, where like people are clinging to religion, and because it's promising heaven, it's promising your darkness, but it's like that is all just fluff, and it's like y'all are pointing to it, but y'all aren't actually doing it. So if you actually want to do it, you got to get into that darkness. You got to do shadow work. And I'm so glad that Flight Boss has been talking about shadow work a lot lately, because it's like that's the realest shit ever. But you know what? I'm gonna cut this recording, and then we can chop it up for a little bit. How about that?
All right.
So look, this is just for recording purposes. I do appreciate your time. I'm glad that makes sense, because that'd be my biggest thing, because these ideas are so early in development. It's super air. So it's like for it to make sense means a lot, that it can come across to convey like it has clarity to it. And this is like turning that air into earth eventually, where
Yes.
it'll become a product. But yeah,
Yes.
no, thank you for your time, Jacen. I'm gonna just end the recording.
Oh yeah, it's just like awesome. You know,